Good afternoon, everyone. I want to call this special work session to order. I want to turn it over to Chairman Gill.
Thank you, Al Ricky. Got a couple things to go over. We have one main agenda item today. Dr. Lynn, before I get started, is there anything you want to add? Otherwise, I've got everything laid out for you.
No, I'm sure.
Okay.
Sean's on.
Yeah, sorry guys, I had trouble getting that way.
Good to see you, Council.
Good to see you. Good afternoon, everybody.
Okay. All right, I'm going to roll through. Today, we mainly have one agenda item, but there's a couple of parts to it I want to go over with you and kind of lay out the format and how we're going to go about that. So, first thing is going to be the round robin portion of what we're going to do today. During the work session, the board, I'm going to have a round robin discussion, and we'll have as many round robins as necessary until every board member has shared everything that they want to share about certain candidates. I ask that you to use the candidate number today rather than the name. So everything you refer to the candidate number, please. The number that was from the initial
Applicant number.
the applicant number.
It's on the email if anybody needs to. Yeah. But I didn't bring my book.
Okay. From LaQuanda.
From LaQuanda and April.
If that's going to be too much of a task, we can use names. I was just trying to keep everything uniform.
No.
I think we just need to work with that. We're good.
Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to call on board members. We're going to have a round. I want you to try to limit each round to 5 minutes per round table. That gives you an opportunity to speak on things that you've looked at over the candidates, the resumes, the videos, and so forth. There'll be a round of discussion for each board member. If we need to, we'll go to second round, third round, and continue as needed. Once we complete that, then we're going to move into the regular board meeting. But before we get to that, I've got some other items that we need to address. I want to discuss during the work session the date for the interviews. Now, on the proposed timeline that was sent out, we were looking at the first week of June for interviews. I wanted to ask the board if you want to stick to that proposed date, or do you want to move up 1 week and do it the last week of May, towards the end of the week, May 28, 29, or 30. So that's one of the items we're going to discuss at the work session today. Also, speaking with council, Council has provided us a list of 91, 92 questions that have been gathered throughout the state over different interviews and selection processes that Sean's been involved in, or his team. And he has submitted that to us for review. I want to go through, again, that will be a 3 questions per board member. These are the questions that you're going to ask the candidate during your individual interviews. And you're going to ask each candidate the same question. So that'll be your protocol. You know, if you need to ad lib and have a little conversation and getting to personally know them, that's fine. But in your interview, this will be the 3 main questions that you ask, and ask that of all candidates. Okay, so we'll go through and make that selection. And then I put together a proposed schedule for the interviews. Once we get through today's meeting, I will have LaQuanda send that out, and we will put that into place. The last thing I want to talk about in the private interviews is the scheduling of that. My thought, and the board can weigh in on that also during the discussion today, is I think it would be a good idea to have the candidates tour some of the campuses. So my thought was, as we bring the candidates in, At 8 o'clock, they can, we'll put together a tour, whether they're together, however we put that together. They'll go to maybe the high school, a middle school, and an elementary school so that they can tour those campuses, so they get a lay of the land of what they're coming into. Then I would like to provide lunch for those candidates, and then we start our interviews at 1 o'clock and we'll be finished by 5 o'clock. So as far as board member activities, it'll be the afternoon of whatever date we select. So any questions on all of those items that I've brought up? If not, we'll start working through those.
I do have a question about the teacher rep on the board and switching over to JP. As I said earlier on microphone. Sorry. Thank you. As I had said earlier, I'm going to be out of town starting on May 30th, and I just want to see if we can accommodate having a teacher rep on the board, being that we know who the next person is. And
knowing your schedule and the way it's going to play out with the timeline, those interviews, I've just done the 7 voting board members. Otherwise, the schedule won't work out. And I knew you were going to be gone. So the plan is the 7 board members the voting board members would do those interviews. Does that answer your question?
so there wouldn't be even a teacher rep present. I mean, I get that the teacher rep maybe isn't going to ask questions, but there wouldn't be a teacher rep there.
And
at
it
all.
being a new teacher rep, I don't know the benefit to that.
Yeah. I do kind of feel there is a benefit in just having a teacher present, but,
And maybe the teacher rep can be involved in the tour portion of that to have some interaction with the candidates there.
yeah, okay.
So we'll figure something out there.
All right.
Yeah, I just knew you were going to be out of town, and I was.
Yeah. No, I mean, I am going to miss it, so that's just
Okay.
the case of it. But
Yeah. Any other questions before we get started? So let's talk about the date for the interviews. What is the board's pleasure, and we're not going to vote on this now, we're just talking through this. What is the board's pleasure and discussion of the week of June 2nd versus the end of May 28, 29, 30? And I'll open the floor for discussion on that.
Sooner the better.
I'm okay for either week.
Okay. And the end of May gives the candidates 2 weeks to arrange travel, so that's plenty of time to do that. Any other input on that? What's that?
What's that date?
In May?
May.
It'd be the 28th, 29th, or 30th. I was going to ask LaQuanda to work on scheduling that. So it's a Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday?
Would you be leaning towards the morning, afternoon? I just don't know yet.
What, for the interviews?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the tours would be in the morning and the interviews would be in the afternoon.
And the 29th is like the last of the school,
The last day of school is the 23rd, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
It
graduation.
is the 29th?
It's 29th, so you may want to move it back.
Okay.
Well, it might be the student too.
The 29th is early release? Okay.
Danny, I'm good with either date. My preference would probably be the first week of June, but if we need to work with it on the end of May, I'm good with that.
Okay. You got any input?
I don't have a preference either way, both work.
Okay. So let's shoot for the end of May. And I'll ask LaQuanda to work on that date and scheduling of the location. And you okay with that, LaQuanda? Okay. Thank you. Let's move on to the interview questions. Now, you're going to select 3 questions. I'm going to start at one end, work our way through, and then I'm going to work my way back the other way. So that way everybody has an opportunity to pick one question before we move on to the second. Okay. Marie, can you note these questions down? That who has what?
Hey, Chairman,
Yes.
obviously didn't realize we were going to be going through these questions today, and there's 92 of them, and you're trying to pick out something right now, this very second. I mean, that's going to take a little bit time to kind of go through them and pick which questions I may feel like are the best that I would like to ask.
I thought the email said that, but if you're not prepared for that.
Then I'll go last. Start looking.
Well, the main thing is to make sure we all have different questions. So if we do it any other, or I can make this part of next week's meeting if you want to do that. Just puts a lot on the agenda. You want to do that? Okay.
Or at least maybe move to the end of this meeting?
Well, we'll just move it to next meeting. I have mine ready. All right, so Marie, can you make sure that's on the next week's agenda?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. And what's the board thought on the tours on the morning of, and then lunch, and then interviews in the afternoon? Is everybody in agreement with that, or they think that's a good plan, or if you have another plan?
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, me as well.
Very good. Okay, got all that out of the way. Let's move on to discussing the candidates. Now, this is going to be...
I have a question, if you don't mind, Dan, just about the process. So when, let's say it is at the end of May and I'm still in town, I mean, obviously I'm allowed to be at the meeting, but I'm not even allowed to ask questions. Is that the case? Like the teacher rep is not involved in any way? Is that where we're at?
I can try to revamp the schedule to do that. It's going to push it after 5, though, but...
I'm just trying to process like why this,
Because
I get that
you
I'm
was
not a
not
voting
gonna be
member,
here.
but I am a board member, and I just wonder why this board seat doesn't get any voice in the selection process at
It
all.
was, but you said you were not going to be here, so I've
Yeah,
scheduled
yeah,
it.
I know I'm not going to be here, but the position does have continuity, right?
Well, the new board member doesn't take effect till July 1.
Okay, and so it's because I'm going away that so
Exactly.
and there can, yeah, I mean, I guess I get that. It just seems like
It would be
know
no
the new
different
board
if one
member
of
and
us were absent that time. We wouldn't plug somebody else in that would just.
yeah, but I'm not just another board member.
No, you're the board rep, but if you're not here
But there is somebody that's moving in.
July 1,
Okay, then I strongly ask that it's in May that I'm here. I think it's a big mistake to go through this process and not have a teacher's voice.
that's what we're looking at, the end of May.
Okay,
Are you gonna be here the 28th, 29th?
and the 30th I fly out, but I could at least be here the 28th, 29th. I mean, last year I missed the retreat last year in June that I was supposed to go to, and I missed the June. Why is it July this year? And it was June last year for me.
Why is what, July?
My term, so last year when I took this position, I thought it was school year to the school year.
It's July 1 to the end of June is the term. You were invited
To the
last
June-
year at the retreat as an incoming, but your title didn't take effect till July 1. Does that make sense? I mean, term is July 1 to June 30.
Okay. I'd say I'm a little disappointed that the teacher rep will have no representation in the process.
If you were there, you would. So we'll try to accommodate that. I'll have them work on that. But you can't just plug somebody in your position that doesn't take the position until July 1.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I hear you.
I mean, it would be like if I was going on vacation and I couldn't be there, they couldn't put somebody to sit in for me as a sit-in, that seat would just be empty for that meeting.
Okay.
I'm trying to explain it the best.
No, I understand what you're saying. Right. I mean, I'm seeing it as this seat is the voice of the teachers on the board.
Right. And your voice is the teacher rep position until June 30th.
Yeah, I get that, except there is another, and I mean, I hear you that we could hold fast to the rule and not make an exception, but the board could bring the person in early to accommodate this position. There's nothing in the, I mean, does it violate our charter to bring somebody on early? Like we've brought people in midterm before. It's not like everyone that's ever taken a board seat has come in at the beginning of a session.
You bring them in when there's a vacancy, but if you're fulfilling your role.
But
are you resigning?
If I need to, I would.
I mean, that would.
If I need to resign so that I can so that I can ensure that there is a teacher rep on the board, I will resign. I mean, I think it's important enough to have a teacher on the. I mean, I think this goes to the question of the voice of the teachers and transparency in the system, and it just seems wrong to me to just flat out say we can't accommodate this when we could if we wanted to. We could if we wanted to.
Now, I think that the consensus was that the end of May, everybody was okay with the end of May.
Yes.
I think the only thing that would change it,
So
right, from the end of May is the
candidate
that would not be able to come in. But I think everyone here said the end of May was okay.
Yes.
Which would be the 28th and the 29th. So you would still be present.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the goal. We'll shoot for the 28th or 29th. If they can't work out the location and all of that, then we'll have to go with Plan B, but that'll be the ultimate goal.
Okay.
Okay?
And if he's able to be present, he would be able to ask a question too, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you would be able to choose, which
Absolutely.
we're not choosing questions till Monday anyway.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so let's go to the round robin discussion about the candidates. So we have 10 candidates, one dropped out, so we have 9 candidates. We need to narrow that down to 5 at the board meeting today.
So I have a question.
Okay?
Because we only got 6 videos,
Correct.
so we're still gonna consider 9 candidates when,
That's the board's discretion, whatever y'all decide, but
oh,
we have to pick our 5 candidates.
I think, well, I'm gonna make the suggestion that we consider the 6 that turned the video in, that showed interest in the position, beyond the resumes and the applications.
And I would second that. And I would second that too. I was under the impression we was only doing the 6 too, the videos that we received. So I would second that.
Well, they're the only ones that followed through with the next step.
Yes.
So, but I'm not taking any authority out of any of the board members. You have the discretion to do whatever you wish to do. So the nine candidates that were given to the board are the ones that we're working off of.
So I have a question on that, between the 6 and the 9. So was the video a requirement for the job?
Yes.
Because that was told to them that
Yes. Yes.
That was part of a requirement.
Yes.
So if you didn't submit it, then in essence, you have decided you don't want to proceed, in our opinion.
That is correct.
Okay. Well, if that's the case and we're down to 6, then, you know.
I'm just stating the facts.
No, I get it. I'm fine with that. I don't have any problem with that.
Okay.
My top 5 from originally all made the 6 videos, so I'm pretty good. I'm pretty set. And I think we probably should keep it at 5, because what if you have one more dropout or 2 more dropout, and now you're down to only 3 candidates, so I don't want to eliminate too many people at this point in time, because we've already had 1 dropout and then 3 more not turn in videos.
Yep.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions, comments before we get started?
I do. So are we just eliminating 1, essentially?
Yep.
Okay, I just, sure.
Yep. Does anybody want to start the discussion of the round table, or do you want me to start it off to lay out the format?
Start it off with that.
Okay. So I have narrowed mine down to the 5 that after looking at resumes, recommendation letters, and the videos, no specific order. Number 11. Now, number 11, I've made some notes. Leadership experience aligns with our goals. They had strong focus in current position with professional learning and development and of APs and principals. Strong experience with strategic planning. They were experienced with supervising and supporting large educational staff. Experience with threat response system and school safety. Experienced in corrective programs for school transformation. Had experience with federal and Florida guidelines regarding educational guidelines, and multiple years experience working at the Florida DOE, collaborating with superintendents and district leaders. My next candidate was number 17. Number 17 had many years' experience with district curriculum, instruction, and assessment, experience with district policies and oversight, experience with development and implementation of school community partnerships, experience with development and implementation of district strategic plan, supervision and support principals and curriculum directors, district-wide technology department oversight, district-wide budget experience, experience with at-risk development and support, experience with ESE needs, leading experience with professional growth and development, chaired district-wide mental health committee, and experience with hiring processes for new instructional admin staff. The next candidate I had in my list was number 9. Number 9 was experienced in strategic planning, principal supervision, community engagement, school safety. Supervised and evaluated executive directors of facilities, HR, technology, and communications. Experienced in emergency response planning, oversight in strategic planning, oversight of primary and secondary staffing, coordinator of schools, district, and state assessments, coordinating of district curriculum, director of ESOL, and oversight of district career and technical education. The next was number 18. Things I noted there was many years experience transforming operations, optimizing processes and driving high-impact initiatives, led career and technical education initiatives, oversaw instructional programs and financial oversight of large budget with multiple schools and sizable student enrollment, supervised secondary principals helping to raise grad rate from 54% to 92%, advocated for STEM funding, policy development, and workforce alignment, and statewide curriculum trainer with DOE. And then number 10. Number 10 had many years of experience as an interim superintendent and superintendent for many systems. Worked in many systems as a superintendent mentor, experienced in relationship building with students, staff, community, and board, experienced team builder, Florida charter school experience as superintendent with 3,100 students in 4 different schools, and familiar with Florida education in the past. That was the 5 that I went through and thought was the top 5 in my category. So, who wants to go next?
I'll go next. So my number 1 was number 11. I like that research was done in terms of the community, in terms of Lake Wales as a whole, the multiple roles of experience that they have had, definitely the experience with working with the Florida Department of Education, going from an F to an A school in 1 year, the priorities coming in, as well, the discussion of the small town small town involvement being in their experience as well, coming from a small town themselves. My number 2 was actually number 10. The experience, again, working through the ranks at all levels. Really like the experience of mentorship that they could bring to the system for those educators that has a track record of successful mentorship of other teachers aspiring to be in leadership roles, board experience that they have as well, being a part of similar systems like ours, even in the Florida area, and of course, the discussion of having knowledge of the different charter funding, the finance piece. My number 3 was number 18. Again, just a good background experience of working through the ranks. I too saw strategic alignment that they could bring due to their experience. Love the mention of the 100-day entry plan coming in, what that will look like specifically. And yeah, I mean, I can go into more things, but that's what stood out to me the most. My number 4 was number 9. Again, all of the experience, everybody worked their way up, understands the community. The service piece, they talked about service a lot. Again, the assessment, the ESOL piece I thought was important as well that they could bring to the system. And my number 5 was number 17. I could see that person bringing a transparency to the system based on just some of the information that they relayed. Their goal of taking a lot of information in. On the beginning, they talked a lot about that, not making knee-jerk decisions coming in, the community impact experience that they bring, The experience with also being assistant superintendent of curriculum, I thought was a good piece as well to them. And that was it. That's my 5.
Good job. Who's next?
I'll go next. Okay, this is in no particular order. So one of my tops is candidate number 11. I like 35 years of experience. Also attractive to me, I think, is that this is a Florida candidate. So they're going to be well-versed in Florida DOE policies and familiar with what the state requires. They've got principal, associate superintendent experience. This individual stressed Florida DOE experience, and especially impressive that this individual coordinated 7 entire school districts. So that's a lot, right? So also they stressed that they led, a proud moment for them is that they led an F school to an A school in only a single year. I'd be real interested to ask questions on how that was accomplished. And what was also interesting to me was that this individual formed their district's first parent academy to support secondary services and parent advocacy, which some of our population would really be able to take advantage of if that was something that could be created here. So that's number 11. Also, in my top was number 18, candidate 18. Again, also a Florida candidate. I think that's important. There were some out-of-state candidates that ranked high for me, but looking at someone that's familiar with our state, possibly even our county, this individual seemed to have done a lot of research about us. Let's see. Also interesting, throughout this individual's educational career, they've managed to raise $113 million in funding. I'd be super interested in seeing how that was accomplished. So that's one of my top picks. Let's see. Number 9 is also in my top. Also superintendent experience, which I think is important. Important to me is that this individual showed a high-level understanding of business and financial functions in a school district, which goes hand in hand with education, of course, but it's also important for our leader to be well-versed in those disciplines. Also, I was impressed that this person stated that their leadership focus is building transparency at all levels. So that's important. And they also refer to themselves as a servant leader, which to me shows a level of being humble, but at the same time understanding their leadership role and succeeding where they're currently located. So that was number 9. What's that, 3, 4? 3. Okay. All right, number 2, at 25 years in education, there was a kind of a question, I guess we can discuss that later, but I think this individual had some other factors in their favor that caused me to be able to overlook just one little slight issue. Again, we'll talk about that later, I'm sure. But this individual has superintendent experience, again, very important. This individual is also a school turnaround specialist, which would be a great benefit to us here. Let's see. Also, charter school experience, of course, which is invaluable. That's number 2. All right. That was 4?
Yep.
Okay. Honestly, those are really my top. I mean, are we required to have 5 to push forward 5?
It's helpful if you discuss that, but you don't have to.
Okay. Candidate number 17, they They had a good video, they had a good resume, but I just feel that the other candidates that I mentioned would be top to this individual. But if we're required to push forward 5, 17 would be my fifth. But I'm leaning more towards the top 4 that I've already discussed. So,
Thanks, sir.
thank you.
Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
All right.
Number 18, I was just really impressed with the variety of roles she's had in her district. And the district this person's coming from is one of the top performing in Florida consistently over probably, I know, the last 10 to 15 years. So I found that really impressive about her. My next favorite was number 11. I think Dr. Johnson said, just the fact that she expressed knowing more about our community than the other candidates, I think is what stood out to her. For me, just these 6 all had something that I liked, but those are the 2 that just really stood out in comparison to the other 4. The next one, Sylvia Mitchell, or I'm sorry, number 12. Her qualifications, number 2, I'm sorry. Her qualifications were actually my favorite, but I think Mr. Unzueta's concern is probably the same one I have as well. Numbers 10 and 19, 10 and 9, sorry. Those were pretty close for me. Like Mr. Unzueta, I had a couple standouts, and then the others I would be comfortable with.
Thanks, Lori. Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
All right, Brian.
All right. Number 18, their cover letter mentioned engaging the community and the business leaders, and I think that's a very vital role for our superintendent. As mentioned before, also from Florida, and I believe Lori just mentioned the top performing district. Number 11, very good cover letter, currently fairly local in Central Florida. Natural progression to move up to a superintendent position, has not been a superintendent, but very appreciated their civic and community involvement. Again, I think that's very important for us here. Next one was number 10. Again, a Florida background, some Florida background. I believe we've already mentioned about the numerous superintendent and interim superintendent positions that they've had. And then the next one is number 2. Very good cover letter. Again, charter school experience as well. And then my last one, my top 5 was number 9. Their cover letter was big on relationships, as again, current assistant superintendent, nice progression up the corporate ladder. They started at the bottom and worked their way up through their years of service. And this looks like they're ready for their next step in the corporate ladder. So those are my 5.
Very good. Thanks, Brian. Who wants to go next? All right, Mike.
I wasn't really thinking 5, but for me, the main person that jumped out was 11, without question. And I think a big thing for me was her video. She came across very charismatic, and she presented herself in of all the videos, that's the one that really struck me the most. And the Florida background and a lot of experience. I think everything about number 11, I was looking through everything and thinking number 11 was a strong candidate. Then when I saw her charisma come through that video, I was just like, wow, she's my top candidate, in my mind anyway. I think the next person for me would be number 2. Also Florida, I like that she has charter experience. She has some experience with charter schools. I think the only other person that really jumped at me in some ways was 9. And that was partly because 9 had the most teaching experience, really, the most classroom experience, I should say. Everyone else had a tremendous amount of experience in education. But 9 spent some time in the trenches, and that I liked. I have to say, let me go back, and going back to 2, did I miss something?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm not sure what the issue there is, which I guess I'll figure that out later at some point, or I'll go back through these documents. But I think if I was going to pick another 2 besides that, 10, I guess, would be my 4th person. And then the 5th person is a toss-up to me between 17 and 18. Is the way I feel. I mean, for me, in my mind, I think it's 11 and 2. Notwithstanding that there's some other things that I don't know. Anyway, that's
Thanks,
So
Mike.
your toss-up, 17 and 18, which one?
I think 17, I guess, if I'm taking one.
I guess I'll jump out there. I'm missing a paperclip, my top 5, but I'll figure it out. And most of you have said it. This is in no particular order, but I will say number 11 definitely stood out in that video. She took the time to do her research, definitely. I just put at the bottom of my notes, she definitely set the standards for the video for me. Probably should have saw that one first, I don't know. I may not have had the top 5 of that. But, so 11 and then 10 was another one I had. Let's see. And just kind of going back to the video, as well as his background, there's some mental health there. And from the video, it seems like he lived at least in the area. So he had some familiarity. And then I like the fact that, he got the kids involved at the end of that video, so that gave him some brownie points too with me. Number 9, I think you all have pretty much said it all. What was that, number 9? I thought that was number 10. Hang on 1 second.
Did we take all your thunder?
Yeah, you took my thunder. That's all right, though. Number 9 next, she had a strong, to me, emphasis on STEM. I like that. And, she's Florida, so some familiarity with the DOE rules and that kind of stuff. And then I had 17 and 18 as my top 5. So 11, 10, 9, 17, and 18.
Thank you, Tony.
You're welcome.
Who else wants to go next? Andy Blair.
All right. I'm going to say, I think I'm going to tell you my top 3, and then I'll go and I'll tell you why, but then we can, whatever else we do, that's fine. I'll start with 11. My notes here. I looked all through reference letters. This goes from reference letters to the resumes to the video, and some of the things that stood out to me was first of all, the video was outstanding, but the first thing I noticed was doctor was not necessary in her mind. Okay, so I love that. Education, the undergrad, the master's, the doctor was awesome. She said something that she did have some charter experience in working with charter schools and making sure that they got equitable distribution of funds. And hello, and she has DOE experience. Obviously, the turnaround from an F-rated school to an A-rated in 1 year. And she said she did that through a team of dynamic educators. I just love that. She said that the most important customers we have are our students, which I agree with. She researched our community. She knew that we had 5 conversion schools and 2 charters. Let's see. She's big in involving the parents and the community in each child's education. She said that. She said she had examples of how she could align our goals with what she's done in her career. I love that. Her priorities were to listen and learn, which I think is extremely important. She wants to involve the community, parents, staff for feedback. She wants to have, she was talking about coffee with her as a way to get to know people. So she understands the importance of relationships. She had a pre-plan and then she had an entry plan. And I love that. She wanted to meet with each school, meet every person, listen to each person that had to talk about the strengths, to talk about the opportunities for improvement. And she wanted to put together structures to provide transparency and regular communication. I thought that was great. And she wanted to look at opportunities for improvement and understanding the governance, our curriculum, our initiatives, systems, and budgets. And she kind of finished all that with, and her recommendation letters were current, and they were relevant to what we're talking about here. And so I think that's important. The next one is this is in no particular order really. 9, huge on community involvement. Her letter, like somebody else said, she's a relational person. I think that's very important. She's big on developing leaders. She's built schools, built 2 new schools. She's raised $197 million for phase 2 of the 4 phases that they're working on. She wants to understand, her vision was to understand our successes and to learn about the wants and needs of each school, the principals, the staff, the students. And she said once she heard from everybody, then she could put the priorities together. But she did say that trust and transparency has to be built, and that's only through building relationships and clear processes, which I 100% agree with. The one thing that she said that I was really impressed with is she said she wanted to lead an effort in building a charter school system versus a system of charter schools. I thought that was really, really, really good. And then she referred to herself as an educator, a leader, and a community builder. And I thought that was really, really outstanding. And then we'll go to number 18. Again, we've already talked about the Florida. There's 2 candidates in here from Florida. That's obviously nice. Number 18, middle school, high school principal. She led 2 Title I schools out of turnaround status, one becoming a blue ribbon school. She's managed federal and state programs. Their graduation rate went from 52% to 92%. She's built, in her words, built systems of transparency and accountability when it comes to money. She's worked with federal money, state money, grants, foundation grants, all. So she has, her financial acumen's pretty strong. She teaches teacher and principal readiness at a college. Her leadership philosophy was relational trust, results-based collaboration, and then this was my favorite, relentless pursuit of academic equity. And she did her research on us, that she loves that we have high academic standards, that we're student-centered, and that aligns with her career. 100-day plan, somebody already mentioned that one. Listening and learning, she also mentioned, would be how she would come about that, meet with teachers, family, staff, community, and then she said equally as important as all those things was investing in talent development, so that our educators are empowered, innovative, and can thrive. I love that. And fiscal stewardship and transparency. And then she also said that she wanted to celebrate and support the staff. I thought that was great. And she said she would lead boldly. And based on the video, I questioned that a little bit before I heard her say it, right? But maybe, it's a video, so we have to. But if she can lead boldly, she's definitely up there. She is all about cultivating authentic relationships. I thought that's important. And then she said that systems flourish when people feel heard and respected and connected. I thought that was really strong. And so those are my top three, 11, 9, and 18. And as far as the other two, I quite frankly think that depending on the cost, if we're talking about flying people in and bringing people in or whatever, if there's some reason we need to do 5, fine. But I really think, just as my opinion, we're wasting our time. So there you go.
In the past, they were on their own expense, didn't they?
Okay.
Pick two more.
Pick two more? 28 and 45. No. That would be 10 and 17. Yeah. Should we talk about two? Can I talk about why I didn't pick two? No? Okay. Okay, bye.
Thank you, Andy.
Am I right that nobody picked anyone that didn't send a video in?
Correct.
Yep. As it should be, just wanted.
Okay. Do we have a need for a second round of discussion? Well, the consensus, based on feedback, you had 2 candidates with all 8 of us. That would be number 11 and number 9. You had 2 candidates with 7, which would be 18 and 10. And then number 17 with 6. That would be your top 5 as a consensus of the board.
18, 10.
Yeah, so you got 9, 10, 11, 17, and 18 based on the feedback from all the board members.
How many did 2 get, just out of curiosity? How many votes?
4.
1?
4.
4.
Yep. Yep. So, any other discussion, talk about this? Anything else you want to add to?
I'm good with those 5.
I just want to add that they were all great candidates, all great videos.
Oh, absolutely.
And, I want to send out at least my appreciation that they took the time to send in the video and applications and resumes.
Yeah, for sure. And we appreciate all of them for applying. And, there were a lot of steps involved with that, as far as putting that together and then the part of submitting the introduction video. So, we appreciate all of them, especially the ones that went the next step and did the video. That was, and I had a lot of good input from the video. I thought that was a tremendous window into them from a distance. I thought that was a good window of their character and how they perform. So. All right.
Can I ask a question?
People, yes or no? For the top 5, or are we going to vote this group?
Well, we're in the work session now, so then we'll stop and we'll go into the meeting and then we'll do the vote on that. Yes, ma'am?
Can I ask a question? Like, if one of the top 5 that you've just listed says they don't want to continue, can we then add 2 on to be interviewed?
That's a board's pleasure, but, you'll have 4 other candidates.
Okay,
So I would say not until you get to that point where you need to, but
okay.
it's the board's pleasure, whatever you decide to do there. Okay. All right. Al Ricky on here is the next meeting. You want to announce that?
Are we adjourned? Are we adjourned?
No, well, this is part of the work session, so.
Oh, announcing when our next work
our next
session is?
meeting. Yes, sir.
All right. Next work session is actually Monday, the 19th at 4 o'clock here in Lake Wells High School in auditorium. And the board meeting would actually be Monday at 5:30, shortly after.
Very good. I have nothing to report. Trustees, y'all have anything to report? Hearing none, meeting adjourned. And we will go ahead and call the regular work session to order. Or the regular meeting, I mean. Lori, would you like to lead us in invocation and pledge?
Sure.
Get out of here.
Dear God, thank you for this day, and just thank you for guiding our decisions. And God, we thank you for the high-quality candidates that responded to the superintendent applications. And God, we just ask that you watch over all of our candidates as they travel here for interviews and just as they work through the process. And God, just thank you for our outstanding administrators and teachers and just their hard work this year on behalf of our students, as well as our district staff and our support staff. And God, just thank you for our students and all that they've achieved this year. And we just ask that you be with them and their families and just ask for your hand of protection. And God, just for a system as a whole, help us to come together and to keep our focus on our students and what is best for them. And just let all that we do and say glorify you. And it's in your Son's holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Lori.
Great.
Thank you.
Especially on the spot.
Okay. Marie, do we have any scheduled persons to address the board on agenda items?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Okay, now that we've had our work session discussion discussing the candidates, and I've given you the consensus numbers based on the work session discussion, we'll move into the actual selecting of those candidates. I would prefer we do it one candidate at a time rather than trying to do all 5, because there is a little bit of on number 6, so I want to make sure we don't discredit anybody here. So now that we've gone through offering public comment, and individual board members have stated their highlights of the candidates and then their top 5 or top 3, however they worded that. We'll move into the selection of those candidates. So at this point, I'll seek a motion that the Board of Trustees select, and let's use number again as a finalist for the superintendent position. I seek a motion for a finalist.
Oh, I'll make a motion that we accept 11, 9, and 18 as
One at a time, please.
I'll make a motion that we accept candidate 11 as a finalist for the superintendent position.
Okay. I have a motion for number 11.
Second.
I have a second by Lori
And Tanya, I think.
and Tanya simultaneously in stereo. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to number 2.
I'll make a motion, we accept number 9 as a finalist for superintendent.
I have a motion by Andy for number 9.
I'll second.
I have a second by Tanya. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
I'll make a motion, we accept candidate 18 as a finalist for superintendent.
Okay, I have a motion by Andy for number 18.
Second.
I have a second by Brian. Any further discussion or comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries.
I move that we accept number 10.
I have a motion from Tanya, number 10.
Second.
I have a second by Tanya.
By Lynn.
Lynn
was the second.
Any further discussion or comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
You're opposed?
Yes.
What's that? I have one opposed. 2 opposed. Nays are Raphael and Andy.
On 10?
Yes. Motion carries.
I'll move that number 17 be moved forward as a finalist.
Okay, I have a motion by Lori for number 17.
I'll second.
I have a second by Tanya. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
I've got 3 nays.
Brian.
Brian, Andy, and Raphael. Motion carries.
So were you a yay?
I'm a yay.
Okay.
I didn't nay, so I'm a yay. Okay, so we have our 5 finalists, number 9, number 10, number 11, number 17, and number 18. Congratulations to those 5 finalists. You will be contacted, letting you know the next step and where we move from there. Thanks, trustees. Y'all made that very painless. Chairman report, other than thanking all the applicants, thanking the trustees for the time y'all put in. I know there was a lot of hours researching and studying and watching, and I appreciate your time on that. Any other business for the good of the cause? Hearing none, meeting adjourned.